'Twas the day before Christmas break, when all through the halls not a teacher was teaching, not a cur west nor vol. Miss Anderson stood by the doors with a glare, as Madigan hoped 11:10 soon would be there.
The children sat at Cummins' desk, resting their bones, while influencers on TikTok danced on their phones, and Ryden in his cardigan and Jones in his khaki, and Mrs. Ginder, Puckett, and Julian looking sensible and snappy.
When out in the Commons, there arose such a clatter. Mr. Rusk sprang from his desk to see what was the matter. Away from his office, he flew towards the theater to see it was only Mrs. Balto and the practicing cheerleaders.
In the north parking lot, Mrs. Gray snuck early to her car to discover Mrs. Rusk had already driven away far. When through Fleming's window were spotted some creatures, a beat-up old Ford pushed by 8 tiger teachers.
With a white-bearded driver and a lively old brute, it could only be Mr. Wheeler in a Santa suit. Class was still in session, so out Houchin came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name.
Now Kirby, now Music, now Kincaid and Pompey. On Stieber, on Stowler, on Whitecamp and Pixley. To the top of Ron Heron, to the PAC and the Den. Get back in your classrooms until it's 11:10.
As Marriott and Lathrop Kumar and El Banya Dunn drops into Pal's room for a quick cameo. At the start, Waldorf saw it was nearly 9:15 a.m. and Miss Fehrenbacher collected the first block exam.
In the commotion Edwards heard in the hall, the bell for OTA let out this call. Van Meter's eyes rolled, and Hinckley let out a yell. Open your Chromebooks and start IXL.
The students all cheered. JK, they all groaned, while Mrs. Van Dyke and Mr. Nealers collected their phones. In the nurse's office, Miss Wall gave a sick student that look, while Eulset and Goodrum hid in the library with cozy Christmas books.
Second block finally arrived, to the relief of Mr. Laughlin, while Mrs. Jones in Ginder's room thought, "Get me out of this coffin." It was the last block before Christmas break, and the going was tough. Mrs. Redmond and Mrs. Holdreth had quite enough.
Miss Winters labeled a hoodie left in her class hazmat, and Berkner, Volk, and King sang Christmas carols in their department text chat. Mr. Duenas chased down some last-minute homework, and Miss Billington watched the last seconds tick away with a smirk.
The final bell startled Mr. Van Dyke awake, just in time to notice Mr. Wheeler through the classroom window jumping into his rusty Ford Focus. And he heard him exclaim over the engine's clack, clack, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all..."
There's 13 days, 14 hours, 54 minutes, and 52, 51, 50, 49.
Until we come back.